Another Shen Hecarim follow-up here from GT on the red side because they don't have to worry about the priority picks.
I think we're going to see at least one of them hit the ban board, even though they are on red side.
Well, Saint are going to take away Sivir one more time. Talia, once again, going to hit the bench. Otto not going to get that comfort. The Saint, 4 seconds to go, really taking their time working on their second ban. Is going to be Victor one more time.
It's the last game that you're ever going to play in the LPL this split. I want to see the Aurelian Soul.
Bring out the dragon.
I know he's got it. He's played it once in the LPL. I believe the only time that the dragon has ever seen play here.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Go out with a bang.
And didn't look too bad as well, if I remember correctly. Laning phase looked okay.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. He was yelling at people a whole bunch. He was traveling across the map. It was fun. The Celestial Voyage, always fun. But it is going to be Gimgoon's Gangplank that's going to receive the last ban here on the side of Saint. Don't want to deal with that. As the Hecarim, understandably, going to be banned.
It's very funny that they ban both Shin and Hecarim. Typically, you can just ban the Hecarim, and it takes value and power away from the Shin, although Long really disproved that on Vici.
Yes. Well, both of them are going to hit the bench. And we can talk about priority picks all day, but Saint probably still just going to go with Jhin.
Or Alistar has been the other big priority pick for game talents.
Yeah, true. Well, Braum is now available at the same time. Was banned last series, but no, it's going to be Chimin picking away the Rek'Sai from Wushang. See what GT want to go with now.
Wushang typically goes back to the Elise. I'd like to see either jungler look towards that Gragas, actually.
Yeah, me too. No Hecarim, no Rek'Sai. Would make sense to go to the Gragas.
Well, both these teams are also very scrappy. They like to fight. They like to skirmish. So having a hard reset would certainly help things out. Likewise, Gragas doesn't have awful 1v1 matchups in the jungle.
Yeah, game talents also work well with ganking junglers. Wushang has been able to get around the map on a lot of his picks, really assert dominance early. We saw it in the last game on the Rek'Sai, and Gragas is certainly capable of that.
This does make a lot of sense, though, if they choose to lock in this Braum.
Yeah, so it is going to be Braum and the Jhin once again, alluding to the fact that City, a different player to Savoki, one that did shy away from Braum in a lot of their games. Decided to pick that one up.
Did we ever decide on a nickname for the Braum and Jhin lane?
No. Now 4.
The assassination burst damage out of Saint's composition is pretty disgusting right now, as well as their AoE CC lockdown.
Yeah.
You've got a big wombo combo available with the Syndra Cone, as well as the Annie Tibbers. I like it. I like it a lot.
As well as the, possible heroic charge stun coming out of Acorn.
But can they coordinate well enough? Like, again, this is Saint's biggest issue, is that as a team, they just don't have the synergy. They don't have the communication. That's why they've fallen so far down the LPL ladder. And running a Wombo combo, yes, it's a very binary composition. This is clear how this works.
Yeah.
But you do need the ability to talk to each other to orchestrate and engineer correct Wombo combo.
That being said, I mean, you talk about Wombo combo, but also, if they're just going to skirmish all game,
it will help, yeah.
It will certainly work, because on their own, a lot of these champions capable of a lot of damage and a lot of CC, and if they're walking around as a twosome, things could still certainly work out. But that is going to be Cassidy picked up for Republic. Will be his 6th time on the champion so far this split, so does have a fair bit of comfort. We'll see how he goes against the Syndra.
Pretty risky not taking a lot of wave clear. You're now relying on Rumble and Graves, who don't have the safest combined wave clear.
Yeah.
Because Jin, not very good at clearing waves out. Cassidy, obviously, pretty terrible at it, as well as having to do it very unsafe because he has to be on that front line. So if this composition really falls behind, the tower threat and the ability for Saint to just mow through structures, very high.
Yeah, will be frightening, to say the least. XQ as well will be relatively safe as we once again have the Twitch versus Jin matchup. But it's on the other side of the map. PentaQ looking fantastic on the Twitch in the last game. And it's finally denied XQ is Jin, but will it actually mean that Saint have a better chance here in game number 3, the deciding match here between Saint and Game Talents?
All eyes on Republic on this Cassidy to see if he can get snowballed.
Yeah.
Keep up with this Twitch and provide assassination to that backline.
Well, we'll see whether he can as coaches shake hands. Let's get onto the rift for game 3 between Saint and Game Talents. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are onto the rift for game number 3, the deciding match between Saint and Game Talents. We've decided, through some public opinion, on the name of the bottom lane of Jin and Braum.
The all fours lane.
I just want to call it 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just think Count Dracula. See, he's not a vampire, but the thing is Jin has 4 bullets. Braum's passive takes 4 hits to proc.
So maybe it's, I don't know, sequence.
We're so close. We're skirting it. I feel it.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I feel like we did decide, but then now we're sort of reneging because I feel like it could be better.
Well, we'll put it on the back burner.
Yep. Speaking of burners, we have Deathfire Touch on 3 members of GT.
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah, top, mid, and bottom lane. So PentaQ, Republic, and Gimgoon all taking that.
And another lane swap initiated. This time, though, it makes so much sense. I was very perplexed in Game 2 why Jin and Thresh opted away from the Twitch Alistar lane. It makes much more sense that the Twitch Annie lane is looking for some respite, although Annie actually does fairly well in lane phase.
Yeah. And Annie Twitch together, once that Contaminate comes in, does actually have a lot of burst damage potential.
And they are trying something very sneaky here, living up to their reputation, but they will be spotted out by a ward. And more importantly, Wusheng will hide his starting position on the jungle here. We'll see how deep they go down this rabbit hole to find Graves. They still haven't found him yet.
No, but he is actually going to head over towards his Raptor camp. Immediately exits as soon as he sees the stunned up Annie moving in, as City has found Chimin, but Chimin did find his red buff.
And while Annie and Twitch are on the hunt for this Graves, Gimgoon is getting a lot of time up in this top lane to pick up those 3 CS, so initial lead to him.
Yeah, now City's continuing to get aggressive as Chimin with his red buff, actually able to sustain through a lot of this, goes under the ground, does have that movement speed advantage as City may actually have to flash his way out, just gets smacked with a buckler. That is going to be it. Wusheng and Gimgoon now going to be taking their red buff. City's just not stopping.
Initial tempo advantage, though, back to game talents because Chimin was put so far behind or slowed down by this Braum. So you can already see that Gimgoon and Wushang are moving to the other side of the map, already completing their 2-camp clear.
Yeah. Game talent's definitely getting the better end of this at the moment. You can see in the mid lane, however, Otto, aggressive onto Republic, but he wants to be using his health bar as a bit of a resource, has the corrupting potion, so a fair bit of sustain now for the Kassadin, even if he is falling a little bit behind in the farm.
I mean, so far, Otto has been on the losing end of the 1v1 matchup here. I think it's definitive that Republic is the superior mid laner.
Yeah.
But we'll see if maybe better luck with Syndra. She's definitely very strong in these isolated matchups.
And it certainly isn't Republic's LeBlanc as well. We have to remember, of course, very practiced on that champion, looks very comfortable. Now has to change things up.
But the Kassadin certainly also fits in that wheelhouse. Republic kind of has 3 primary champions, Victor, LeBlanc, and Kassadin.
Yeah.
This is a curious move.
He's just sitting there picking up experience.
He's also about to get support from his Annie.
Well, looking to try and hold on to Gimgoon here. Tanks up a tower shot, which is what I guess is what he wanted.
They're planning a 4-man dive, but it's about to be a 4v2 when they think it's a 4v1. Unfortunately, Shu is just slightly delayed here. If he was a bit faster on the uptake, possibly could have caught a really nice counter gank on the bottom side.
Yeah. However, as far as losing out, I guess they're not going to be able to take down this top outer turret as quickly with just a Twitch up there. It is going to be Gimgoon finishing off that one. Republic setting himself up, but he's sandwiched right now in between 2 members of Saint.
And it's the difference between getting a tempo advantage on the map for game talents versus isolating the superior experience for Saint Twitch.
Yeah, and he will have some superior gold as well as he's looking to lock down that turret on his own. Backing right now, actually not deciding to take it, as they're denying as much farm as they can. Interesting.
Makes sense. Hold the matchups. You don't necessarily have to trade 1-for-1 on the tower. Deep freezes would be beneficial to them, especially on that Twitch. Should prioritize experience on him. He's the key member of their composition.
Yep.
Get him closer to his assassination potential. He can be used mid as well as in the side lanes, just because Otto has such great burst damage himself, as well as hard CC to set up that Twitch should he stealth by.
Well, now the push actually coming in here for Akon. Has a big minion stack towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, overall, I still agree with Saint that they want to elongate the lane phase. Again, you look at game talent's composition. They do really well fighting around things like the Dragon Pit, so as these towers fall down and you start turning more towards monster objectives, you have to deal with that rumble.
Yep. Well, Republic actually, interesting first buy, goes back, gets himself a Negatron cloak, so will put behind his Rod of Ages a fair bit. Just wants to make sure he can survive with Force Pulse, but Otto doesn't take too much damage, and nice stun comes out of Cull the Weak. Really show that this Syndra able to win these trades and has the superior wave clear here in the mid lane.
Finally, we compensated for Otto's lackluster 1v1 this series. We got him the range champion on the Syndra. This is enough. He won't just die in lane.
He's actually winning there in farm as well, so 6 CS ahead. Now looking for more as PentaQ in trouble. XQ relatively low, uses the heal to try and close distance. Contaminate, I believe, still will be there. The auto attacks are coming down. Gimgoon, meanwhile, is going to get destroyed by Saint on the bottom side of the map. Is now Republic looking for more. The Q, not enough damage as Wushang's looking for it. Flashes forward. Smoke screen picks up the kill for GT, and Chimin's going to follow. Force Pulse picks it up for Republic. Now Akon in trouble. This could be so huge for the Kassadin. It's a double kill for the Graves, however, and he's massive as well.
Could have been better, though. Like you said, Republic picking up those kills over the Graves, but meanwhile, top. Nope, we're fine. It looked initially, never mind.
Well, yeah, I don't think we're as fine as Gimgoon's going to find Shu. We'll see whether he can burn him down. There's the overheated flame spitter, but can Gimgoon survive? No. XQ picks up that kill. Concussive Blows is going to get the stun. Flash into the brush, but City flashes after him and smacks him with a door. In goes Akon, gets a heroic charge, and yeah, this is most certainly the series we were expecting.
It's the last game of the split. Go ham or go home. Nice to see both the LPL teams showing up. Across the board, though, you're going to give it to game talents. Again, it still would have been better if the kills had been more appropriately put on the Kassadin rather than the Graves, but Wushang has shown himself to be a phenomenal carry-oriented jungler, so still in a good, healthy position.
Yeah, and I actually don't mind it. as Deadly Flourish does stun up Acorn for the moment. Captive audience there as well, just to deter him from any sort of, I don't know, dive to look at. Shouldn't happen, but, you know, you just don't know in this game. Because there just seems to be kills and dives everywhere.
That is going to be both teleports down when it's all said and done, which does mean that Saint will have an initial numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map if they try to pressure for this dragon, but first they got to go through Gimgoon.
Yeah, they're going to see if they can find it. Gimgoon immediately flashes as soon as the ambush comes out. Good decision as well, just because Shu can instantly stun him.
Needs to be very careful, though, because Chimin is lurking in his jungle, although I believe he was spotted out. Equalizer. Nope, only level 5.
Yeah, Gimgoon looking for it. Will be able to slow him down as the Riftwalk, of course, is still there. Nice movements there from Shu just to make sure that they can't follow up. This Republic is going to get stunned. Now look, Catalyst done. This Kassadin super comfortable now in this lane.
Touching back on the rest of the side lanes, though, I think that this will be the mirrored tower fall, as Saint should take the bottom tower, although Game Talent still with the tempo lead, starting to get chip damage on top side.
Yeah. Only going to be Jin and Braum, so not a lot of damage as far as being able to lock that one up. Republic, no AP built up just yet, but doing much better in these trades with all of his defensive statistics. And has Wushang in any gank for the extra damage. Gimgoon turns up topside, will help take down this turret. Very even are the top laners. One extra death on Gimgoon, but he's not too worried about it. So Wushang takes down that puppy right in Acorn's face.
Both teams possibly looking to push through, though, at least on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah. GT have the option as well, but not a lot of minion wave. They're just giving all of it over to Gimgoon. Oh, unfortunately that tower unkilled just yet. Unkilled. What a word.
Still standing.
That'd be the one.
I got you. Acorn, not so much.
Yeah, may not be. Throws out one of the members, but there's the equalizer, and he has to walk all the way across it. Concussive blows. Not going to be proc just yet. They don't have a lot of range up here.
Here comes Kassadin.
Harpoons looking for it as Gimgoon, scrap shield, speeds him up. Collateral damage comes down just to make sure that he can still get an assist for this one. Acorn,
surprise!
Yeah, there it is. Wall bangs him, flashes himself out of the way as Wushang gets in there. End of the line's going to do it. That is going to be the killing spree, and unfortunately for Gimgoon, unable to get an assist.
It was a valiant attempt, but in response, Saint getting great damage on this mid-outer tower.
Yeah, it is going to fall down at the same time. Well done for XQ to move here immediately, making sure Saint were able to capitalize. The map well and truly open now for both of these teams.
And with the creep advantage in the mid lane, there's a pressure point that Saint can collapse onto this Mountain Drake. It can be contested by Game Talents, though.
We'll see whether they actually move down there. You can see PentaQ not actually thinking about it. He's just going to farm out these minions. Gimgoon without his teleport just yet. Will be off cooldown very, very soon. And Saint with good timing are able to lock that one down.
So not finding much value in the Mountain Drake. See if maybe the second Mountain Drake will be more important to them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They have another opportunity to find more value in it.
It's fine. There will be others. What about Connect 4?
Oh my god, that is perfect. Stunning. Oh, I knew that we were going to find it. That is wonderful. The Connect 4 bottom lane. That is just... We can pack up. We're done. It's just, that's it.
You want to play a game.
Secured.
And it's so perfect for Jen because that guy is a psycho.
Thematically correct at the same time. Just wonderful. Wushang, we're going to try and stop Chimin from taking his wolves. We'll see whether he can. Chimin at least takes down the little ones, but the rest of GT are moving on over. Chimin locks it down. And the Wolf Spirit, of course, going to be very, very useful. Now that Smite Wall was won, but Blue Buff will be taken by Republic. So in the end, the victory goes over to GT.
Someone needs to tell Acorn, there you go, to back up. They're trying to siege on inner top, although the rest of Saint will collapse here. Here they come.
City's going to move on over. Shu there, threatening. Doesn't have Tibbers. Is only level 5. But of course, still can get off that instant AoE stun, utilizing the Incinerate.
And in the end, this is just buying time for XQ on that Twitch to get farther and farther ahead. He's already built up a nice CS difference for himself. He's accumulated a lot of solo experience, although PentaQ has caught up in levels. But anytime they make these plays and they don't amount to any sort of objective, it's just buying more time for Saint. They're trading pressure on the map for experience and power onto their AD carry.
And slowly that goal gap is actually shrinking as well. PentaQ finds an auto attack onto Akon, but he's starting to get tanky. Barmy Cinder's there. He's got himself a cloth armor.
Okay, here we go.
Looking for him. There's the Winter's Bite to land. Really good Deadly Flourish as the Braum is going to exit the fight, but there's the stun onto Akon. The ultimate comes in. Wushang locks it up. And Curtain Call still hunting for the Annie, but doesn't find him.
And again, another Wushang show, 4-0-1. He was cheated the MVP last game, trying to make a good case for himself this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you priority pick the Rek'Sai away from him. He'll go back to the Graves. He'll be that hyper carry. And if teams don't shut him down, he'll run through them.
He's certainly looking to do that right now, as Chimin will at least get his red buff. That is good news. Gimgoon now pushing down this bottom side. Dash cannon just to clear out the wave. And will be able to do so. Chimin looking for him. See whether he can actually fight. Akon's going to move over. Gimgoon not going to get heroic charge just yet as he flashes over the top. Akon avoiding it. Now just trying to find that heroic charge. There's the equalizer. No stun to come out as Gimgoon's doing his very best to try and lock this one up, but it's not going to happen. In goes Republic. Gimgoon's still alive for the moment, but Akon does eventually lock up that kill. Republic looking for another Riftwalk, finds it onto Chimin and picks up the kill. But now can GT collapse and find more? Akon in trouble, slowed down by the Force Pulse. And Akon has to try and heroic charge his way out. Wushang's going to pick up another kill for 5-0-1. As a scoreline, and Otto's just running up towards the top side to try and grab PentaQ.
Just table scraps at this point, even if he does manage to pick up the Jin, although PentaQ smartly backing away, seeing that the Syndra has lost or has walked into Fog of War. But Kassadin continuing to get snowballed, 2-0-4 now. You have to think, though, Wushang, just share some of the love.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, there's worse junglers to get kills on, most certainly. Graves quite capable.
Here
Otto
comes
now,
Gimgoon.
yeah, looking for a dive.
Can he get there in time?
They could just take down this turret as PentaQ in trouble. There's the ultimate, but it's not enough. The heal's able to keep him alive as Gimgoon now looking for more. Doesn't have the ultimate available, remember, as Deadly Flourish locks up the Twitch. The rest of GT are moving on up, but Shu's going to get here first. Finds the Tibbers for the big bear stun. And Flame Spitter there just trying to get the work done. XQ does fall down. Curtain Call comes in. Otto in trouble. That bullet's going to miss. The third one blocked by Shu. The bear is going to die. Deadly Flourish so close as City now wants to find one of these kills. Shu just getting them away from his mid laner will sacrifice himself for the good of the colony. That is going to be the Void stick in the head.
Wushang, take notes. That's how you pass kills over to the important member on your team.
As Chimin gets some, like you mentioned, table scraps by taking down his own Gromp. And Wushang just looking to try and take down the outer turret in the mid lane on his own.
And there's zero response from Saint.
Can't really do much.
They just getting beat around the map, getting beat individually in the 1v1 lanes, their matchups. We said that if Game Talent's composition ever fell behind, they would be in a world of hurt just because they don't have the greatest wave clear. You're very much relying on the combined efforts of Rumble and Graves against a lot of siege potential on the side of Saint. But thankfully, they got snowballed ahead. It's a high risk, high reward. Game Talents rolled that dice and came up trumps.
Yeah, we've seen other teams do this, of course, Invictus Gaming with Rookie on the Fizz as Shu. Oh my goodness, the equalizer is going to come down. That is a dead Annie. Can they find any more as Otto was slowed down? Winter's Bite doesn't find it. And Republic gets himself on top. Look at the damage as Otto has to flash, but there is a Rift Walk there. Force Pulse is able to lock it up, and Republic's massive.
You never want to take your cues from Invictus Gaming, though.
Hey, I don't know. They're my dark horse here in the LPL.
I feel like we have the established top three. Team WE, EDG, RNG, not necessarily in that order. You have a guest appearance by Vici Gaming, and then you have your three dark horses, and IMA, Invictus Gaming, and Snake. Nah, I see it. The dream's still alive for Newbie.
It is. I still
Can you tell who I'm rooting for?
Not IG. And you were such an IG fan.
I still am an IG fan.
I just feel like they broke your heart too much.
You see, LGD fans think that they have cornered the market on Heartbreak, but they don't know true pain. I was molded by Heartbreak.
You were.
I didn't know victory until 2015 Worlds, until Kakao went into the game and only did 500 damage to champions.
Oh, God.
And that was after Kid only did 300.
It's not okay, and it wasn't even 300 for Oscar, and that's the really sad part. Yeah.
They got the second Mountain Drake. That's the important one.
Yep. So second Mountain Drake does come in. They even up that dragon count as we move back into this game. after reminiscing about some pretty dark times.
And why that one's important is typically around this time in the game. That's when you actually start trying to siege into these inner turrets and setting up things for Baron, although it's only 17 minutes right now.
Oh, goodness. Republic finds the Force Pulse. There's the flash. Tries to get over the stun. And does so, I guess, as now he has Rift Walk back up very soon. Another Q, and there's the Force Pulse for the kill.
The lane assignments are very volatile. Again, game talents in a kind of a similar mentality from game number 1. They play with assassination very well. They abuse snowballed lanes.
Yeah.
They definitely know how to distribute their strength across the map in the correct places.
Now it looks like they're looking for some sort of 1-4 type situation with GT, a roaming death squad coming out of the jungle. Shu going to get Winter's Bitten. That's not a bad burp. I'm okay with that one.
Acorn is kind of setting up for a back flank here. There's plenty of walls, and they're not going to pull the trigger, so definitely respecting the fact that Gimgoon was available in that fight, did have the equalizer, but meanwhile...
Yeah, Republic just free to his own devices, up towards the top side of the map, takes down that inner turret very easily. XQ now clears out the mid lane. Gimgoon moves back down towards the bottom side as GT still roaming around. It looks like they're happy to play any sort of style as long as they don't necessarily have to go for a full team fight or siege, because otherwise they're looking very scary.
Saints' really only viable option right now is bush camping.
Yeah.
They got to make a pick. They definitely have the tools to do that on the composition. Again, you've got the Annie stun, the Syndra stun, massive damage out of the Twitch. Great follow-up CC in Poppy as well as Rek'Sai. But you need to orchestrate that, and you need to have strong vision to pull that off. And that's something that Saint have really lacked.
Well, XQ looking for the ambush onto PentaQ doesn't necessarily do all that much damage with just this Ghostblade, and the door, like you stated in Champ Select, just gets put up in front, and that Braum just able to keep his Jhin safe.
And reminder that they priority picked the Alistar. So,
yeah,
picking Twitch into the Braum.
A little bit sad. As Republic once again back towards the top side of the map, clearing out what Otto had shoved into him. Let's see how long he stays up here and just split pushes, because I just don't know who goes toe-to-toe with this Kassadin right now. Because when you're 40 CS ahead of him and still can flat out not win a 1v1 in any way.
You can't win the lane, but you can kind of survive it on some of the tanky members. But still the issue is you're competing across from a double teleport. So there's just so many more options for game talents about how they want to play this game out. Although you can see Republic on the top side of your map actually sitting in a bush waiting for someone to come farm this incoming wave. Will it be Otto?
Otto's actually going to go home, so yeah, looks like he is heading towards the top side. Runan's Hurricane is done for XQ, so decent item spike. Gimgoon's going to find Chim and burns him down. Decent use of the Deadly Flourish, but the ultimate is going to be what's really the problem as Shu
Here comes Kassadin.
Slowed down on top of the equalizer, flashes out of the way as Wushang possibly in trouble, but look at the AoE and flashes his way out, uses the collateral damage to create more spaces. XQ, the gigantic flank on the backside, isn't going to be able to necessarily win the fight, but that triple kill saved Saint's base.
Massive play from XQ. Fortunately, Republic's attention was elsewhere. Again, it's this Kassadin versus Twitch, hypercarry versus hypercarry. Kassadin certainly has the tools to deal with Twitch on the backside. Need to be a bit more diligent on keeping tabs on that rat.
Really good work for XQ to get into that right position as well in the right time.
Well, he was really just being counter. That's the thing about Saint. Like, they're decent at being reactive to teams. It's the proactive aspect where they have a hard time. So having a pick composition or having pick ability on their composition is fairly wasted.
Yeah, it hasn't necessarily really given them much so far this game. I certainly agree. Now XQ going to clear out this top wave. Has his serrated Dirk. So we'll see what he's actually going to build into as his next item. Would have thought the Infinity Edge could have been a good idea here, but deciding to go for possibly a more of Malmortius. Avoid dying to Republic too quickly. Who is now building towards his Zhonya's Hourglass to get towards 30% CDR and a heck of a lot of kill threat. Possibly even onto Acorn as he dodges the ultimate. In goes Wushang. He's looking to lock that one down. Legendary is Republic. And Wushang actually gave him the kill.
So game one, write that off. Game 2 and 3, this is what we need from Game Talents heading into playoffs. They need to look strong against Vici. They will have the game advantage.
Yes. Oh, as Wushang possibly caught out of position here. Throws down the end of the line. Shu almost gets bursted, but there's the stun. He dashes out of the way, but it's not enough. XQ picks up the kill. Smite was actually used there as Republic. Looking to dash himself out. Uses the Rift Walk to get himself over the top, and City is here to help him out. But good pick in response to Acorn's death.
But it wasn't engineered. It was just a happenstance.
Yeah, it was just chilling.
In fact, Annie and Twitch almost walked past him. I think they were looking elsewhere on their map before they realized, oh god, there's a Graves in here.
Mm-hmm. Shimon actually can't find him as Mountain Drake number 3 coming up right now. PentaQ moves himself over. Jin has to be respected here in these fights around certain objectives if he can get himself into the right position. But he's going for the Essence Reaver build. PentaQ, lots of late game damage potential, and I guess a lot more cooldown reduction. Makes
sense. There's not a lot of tanks that you're going to have to chew through on the side of Saint. Likewise, you want to have that late game damage threat through the itemization of crit, especially, to keep up with Twitch's damage output.
Don't mind it. Pops the Ghost Blade.
Round
now
2.
looking for PentaQ, but there's the door. City takes a lot of damage from this as Shu's going to get the stun on the backside. XQ will get a double kill. No, Shu actually picks that one up as Gimgoon now looking for an equalizer, but with the bottom lane dead, no more Connect 4, can't actually get anything done.
And XQ is trying to hard carry Saint through this as they're turning onto the Baron. Wushang is still alive. It's level 13 versus 13 Smite.
Well, there is still vision in the back of this pit for Game Talents, but look at how quickly this is falling down. GT will move over. Good equalizer placement available, but Wushang is just going to get smacked out. Now Chimin locks up the Baron. There's the legendary Republic as he picks up the kill onto Shu. And can they actually corral them here as Republic gets wallbanged immediately and destroyed? The shutdown comes in. That's the double as the Twitch is going off.
But that's orchestrated by Acorn, really. Yes, XQ is the benefactor of the kills, but it was Acorn throwing Wushang away from the pit so he couldn't contest the Baron Smite, and it was Acorn instantly locking down Republic as soon as he walked into that pit, or walked into the blue buff.
And that is so much shutdown gold as well. As that Kassadin fell down, he was 10-0 as he went over that wall.
XQ is a very wealthy man.
Yeah, just finishes that Maw of Malmortius. Hex Drinker completely done and the recipe, so that is a lot of money that he just went back with. 9-3-2 now. There are so many kills this game. As Saint looking to pick up Mountain Drake number 2 for them, 3 for the game.
It is nice to see XQ leave the LPL in terms of this split with a bang. Again, it was STYZ was the starting AD carry for Saint. They found much more success moving back to XQ, and he's had just a very roller coaster career. Formerly was the AD carry for LGD, was replaced by Imp, which that makes sense.
Yep.
But has really struggled to kind of get himself back in. It's sad to see him heading back into promotion. I thought there was a lot of talent. He's a very young Chinese AD carry.
Well, definitely means there is a future, as Saint now look to push down this inner turret, do so very easily now with the Baron buff. There are a lot of balls being collected here by Otto.
So many Dark Spheres.
Yeah. But GT are at least able to deal with this minion wave. You spoke about the fact that them playing defensively is a difficult thing. Now Saint with the momentum moving forward. The gold completely even.
But everything hinges on XQ. He's incredibly strong. But again, there are so many options and tools on Game Talent's composition to kill him. It's coming down to execution. It's typically where Saint really struggle.
Well, they're looking for the pick here as all of the bullets fly into Otto. Has to flash himself out, but that's collateral damage in Republic's Q that are able to lock down the pick. And Otto just vacates the rift.
Just not respecting the reach that Game Talent's composition has. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Otto.
Perfect timing. Republic, pretty tanky now, has his Zhonya's, so that is good news. Unfortunately, the Magi's without as many stacks as it had previously.
Okay, here comes the Wombo combo. Watch Acorn. He's on the top left looking for a flank. Shu does have flash and stun ready. They just need to set up the bowling ball pins.
Well, Chimin is going to move
the setup.
in. Yeah, so Acorn gets the wallbang, finds Wushang, who flashes himself out. Gimgoon in a decent position, but XQ's set up. Going to get knocked up by the... Oh my goodness, fantastic exhaust as Republic. So incredibly low. Chimin gets himself a double kill off to the side. And now Gimgoon running away. They just can't answer this Twitch.
Chase continues.
Yeah, Gimgoon running for the hills. Will have Scrap Shield up relatively soon, but Shu, he's running super fast and gets himself the stun. Chimin's going to knock him up, and Gimgoon's going to fall. That is 3 in a row for the Rexer.
And Game Talents have been in control of this game for the majority of it, but suddenly XQ, oh, he's fine. Oh no, he's not.
Well, Republic is going to get over to the side, finds the kill with the Q in the end. Riftwalk stacking up now. As Shu looking to try and protect Acorn, but look at how squishy he is. That was an odd Deadly Flourish, as there's the double kill. Republic now trying to kite this one out. Otto possibly in trouble as Republic throws down the Zhonya's. Can he use the ultimate to get himself forward? Gets over the top of Acorn. That's going to be another one as Republic picks up 3.
That was insanely well played from Republic. He actually slightly sidestepped to dodge the stun on the wall.
Yeah.
And this is no longer a game of League of Legends. This is just a fist fight. This is a straight brawl.
Most certainly is, as they're answering the push that Saint managed to get down the mid lane. Inner turret now should fall with 4 members dead on the side of Saint. And GT claim back that gold lead that they earned so well in the early game and will take down this inhibitor turret as well. Can they stay for the inhibitor? Looks like not, as XQ is going to be respawning.
Certainly giving a wide berth and a lot of respect to XQ on the Twitch now. Again, it's coming down to execution. That last team fight, beautifully set up by Chimin as well as Shu.
Yeah.
Again, setting them up like dominoes, knocking them down. They need to be much more, or Game Talents need to be far more diligent in their flanking vision, because they have to see that coming.
They do. And now I guess Game Talents do have doubles on his Hourglass. So as far as saving their solo laners are concerned, they do have a few extra options. PentaQ needs to get to his 3rd item. Not doing nearly as much damage as XQ on this Twitch, who's so incredibly big. Always flanked by Shu as well, who's able to keep him so safe.
Here we go.
As City's just going to get wandered past. They're looking for Republic. Doesn't have the Zhonya's off cooldown just yet, but Rift walks his way out. Is going to be safe for the moment as Gimgoon throws down the ultimate, but doesn't quite find what he's looking for. There's no flash available. Turns the Flame Spitter on, turns himself around, burns them down quite a bit, but Dash Cannon doesn't get him out safely enough, and Otto going to unleash some power on him and pick up the kill.
And City tried to minimize the damage there, but ultimately it wasn't enough. The Braum pick is doing work for them, but...
Yeah. Oh, XQ tagged by the first bullet of this curtain call.
He's really just trying to clear the incoming wave.
And Otto just a little bit as well, who moves out of the Deadly Flourish. And the ultimate from Acorn going to go a little bit wide.
I think Game Talents are frankly kind of screwed unless Kassadin has his teleport up.
Yeah, I feel like split push is the option here, something like that.
It's not even just the split push, it's just getting Republic to the back line. So far, in majority of these team fights, Republic's either A, been caught out, so the fight starts on him and he has to use his initial Rift Walk defensively,
yeah,
or B, a line of scrimmage is set and Republic just can't walk over it to get to the back line. They need that Kassadin flank, that Kassadin teleport.
At the moment, the Kassadin has 6 items. Just finished his Void Staff. He is extraordinarily strong. May not even want to sell this Magi's, as you know, he did die when he was on 10 kills. Then managed to pick up 4 more and a couple of assists, so that still will have the stacks wanted. Now PentaQ, he does have the Infinity Edge. So despite being 1, 2, and 8, not necessarily the 9, 4, and 5 that XQ has, he's still able to do a lot of work here in these fights now.
Again, we're coming down to possibly the Baron that might end the game.
Well, there's the equalizer. Yeah, Chimin's going to get stunned up. Gimgoon looking for the Flame Spitter. Nice tunnel gets Chimin out to safety. Now Saint looking for a possible re-engage. Poppy making his way in. The teleport was cancelled as now the curtain call tags up Otto. Good stun, but look at the damage. Force Pulse doesn't find anything. Collateral damage is there. Heal comes out of XQ. And of course, Otto wasn't going to die, but does have to go back.
But an issue that this composition has, it doesn't just lack in wave clear, but burning down the Baron as effectively as Saint's composition, also a scary prospect.
Well, you've got Republic now playing off to the side. We'll see whether he can actually get Chimin out of here as Acorn's moving himself over. The Baron, there's the flash from Shu, who throws in the bear. XQ takes down Wushang, but Republic answering so quickly. Shu's going to die. It's a double kill now for the Kassadin as Chimin's going to fall. That's one for Gimgoon as Acorn trying to run. Decent scatter of the week there from Otto, but it's all just damage control, and it's not even enough. Otto falls to PentaQ's damage as Republic Rift walks over the top. That's going to be the wallbang. And Acorn picks up that kill very easily. A little bit hot and heavy is Republic right now. Nice dodge as Acorn tries to get back into base, but that's the Winter's Bite. And GT really want this kill as they dive the inhibitor turrets.
That's not just the Winter's Bite. That's going to be the game. They have a massive creep wave in front of them. Jin is going to tear through these towers as long as he's able to get his crit off.
Yeah, well, they are actually moving back to the Baron at this stage. So GT...
Take a Nexus tower at least. I'm tilted. It's fine.
No, well, look. If you play
Look at Wushang. He's like, we're not screwing this up. Take the inhibitor and leave. Twitch is up. Respect him.
Well, Shimon, he's also going to head back in here as look at that damage. Republic, 6,000 in the last fight. No one over 2K on the side of Saint.
Jin would have at least 3-shot that tower. Massive creep wave.
It's okay.
So much respect for Twitch. We're going to respect for Twitch. It's fine. They don't want to lose the series.
They only have a small gold advantage. Things can turn around. Republic decides not to sell his Magi's, even though he just lost half of his stacks.
Making good decisions.
It's okay. It's okay, Frost.
Just like Rift walking around that corner when he was right next to a wall. Saw that happen. It was like Acorn just, and there it goes.
Yep. Yeah, no, that one. We kind of walked into it. Republic starts off this Cloud Drake. Will be the last regular dragon of the game.
He's 16-2-9.
He's very large. That is most certainly true, as Acorn's going to get stunned up. There's everything thrown out to pick up the Poppy, and they do so quite easily. Everyone on the side of Saint milling about the Baron, as you can see. GT just, nah, we're not going for that one.
It's just playing it by the book. We've got the creep wave bottom. We just made a kill bottom instead of walking cross map and chancing this to a 50-50 smite. Let's go bottom, take the clean objective, and continue to try to siege.
Oh, XQ tagged up. Really nice equalizer as well. Forces the flash out of the Twitch as Deadly Flourish stuns up Chimin and does buy enough time to take down this inhibitor turret. That was beautiful. I'm pretty sure he was still stealth. But just snagged by the first bullet, and GT get their second inhibitor.
And continue to respect the power of the Twitch. So now with the Baron inhibitor open, they can just reset their position on the map, wait for the crashing incoming waves. They have their double teleport to play with, and methodically clean this out. Although, as I say that, Saint, it's the gamble. They've got one play available to them. They have a tiny window to make this pay off, and they're rushing to Baron.
This is our last moment, our final stand. As GT do get themselves over there. There's a pink ward in the pit, but this Baron going down very, very fast. PentaQ wants to set himself up, doesn't have the ultimate, remember, and there is no Wushang in here. Republic just wants to win the game as the Baron is taken at least. They're trying to stop the backs as City stands behind PentaQ, gets punted out of the team fight. As now everyone's trying to empowered recall away. XQ has to be so careful. Nexus turrets are being focused here as the Castan and Rift walks out of the way there. You saw towards the bottom side of your screen. Chimin looking to try and get the flank, but this guy does so much damage, remember. Does get a Nexus turret for his trouble, and now Baron minions are going to be in this base to try and help Saint defend.
Split-second call. That is something that Saint have not been able to pull off all split, and they get it this time to burn that Baron. With that, it'll offer them a lot of breathing room and a time for their inhibs to come back up. So yes, they lost a Nexus tower and trade for the Baron, but if they can just survive and use this Baron defensively, they're going to put themselves in a really nice position to actually take this game to a single team fight.
Yeah, and this is all they want to do. Get it to the point where gold is irrelevant, get those 6 items. Of course, Republic, he ain't getting any stronger until he can sell his Magi's to pick up a Rabadon's, which he just did. So he ain't getting any stronger from now. He's got exactly what he wants.
True statement.
Yeah. So they just want to be able to get to that point as well. There's 5 items on Otto.
All I'm
saying one more room.
Is that if Jin had decided to push forward and try to go for that Nexus tower, it'd be an open inhib.
An open Nexus even.
Oh, excuse me, yeah. Big inhib, Nexus thing.
But they now have a Cloud Drake. So that's good.
I just find it very strange when LPL teams are scared. Or respectful.
Because it just doesn't happen all that often.
Because usually it's just kind of a slugfest.
Well, especially this game. It's what we're expecting.
Especially
of course,
these
happen
teams.
Games 1 and 2. Well, GT now setting up towards the top side. The last remaining inhib does make a lot of sense.
All smiles gone. This is serious. This is Saints' chance to win their second series before they exit this split. Game Talents looking for momentum, heading against Vici.
Well, Acorn looks for the ultimate here as
XQ's
well.
in.
Finds it onto Gimgoon towards the backside as Wushang's going to get picked off. XQ grabs that kill as Otto, launched on by Republic, gets the kill as now XQ moves over to the side. Gimgoon now back in this team fight, and XQ's exhausted, destroyed by PentaQ's damage, and Republic still healthy in this one. Tibbers is pretty mad at him, but he just smacks him in the face. That is going to be only Chimin remaining and should spell the game here for Game Talents.
And XQ used his Twitch ultimate on a single member from Game Talents instead of wasting or using it across multiple members, and that was the deciding factor, the misuse of that single cooldown. Republic making it into that backline, deleting him, and following up with the exhaust.
Just fantastic play. The last Nexus turret will fall down, and Game Talents, despite the result of game number 1, come back and take down Saint.
A little bit too close for comfort, though.
Oh, yeah.
In the end, though, they cleaned it up, went back to basics, went for a methodical victory, giving a lot of respect for XQ. Well-deserved win, though.
Yeah, I would say so. Of course, making sure that they weren't taking too many chances towards the end there. Didn't want anyone to pick up any surprise aces or anything if they were pushing their luck too far. But were able to just, like you said, methodically, slowly, take out the game towards the end there. Wasn't the 25-minute victory that they got last time, but still a well-deserved bow. Congratulations for Game Talents, now moving into the highest seed in our first round of our gauntlet-style playoff run up against Vici, and that will be a big test and a dangerous one, especially coming off even just a one-game loss to Saint.
They're going to need that padded game. So again, they go into the best of 5 against Vici with a game lead, so they'll have 1 point over them. And after a performance like that, again, that's way too close for comfort against Saint.
Yeah, most certainly is. And I guess the thing that we really have to talk about is what changed in GT moving into this series and not. And the disappearance of Savoki and now City coming back in, despite them winning the last 2 games. Are you feeling like it's the right decision?
I'm always going to be a fan of Savoki. I think he's very key to their to Game Talent's victory, especially on that Trundle pick. Although City did very well that game. You know, picking up the Braum, making that count, especially because Braum is going to be such a high priority just in general, but also because Twitch is coming back into the meta. And as you saw in that game, he's an excellent answer to that, using his door to deny a lot of the rat-a-tat-tat damage, although XQ got to such a strong position that it didn't even matter. He would just delete the Braum anyway. Yeah, and a lot of the problems actually that came out of this game for Game Talents were through that bottom lane, the fact that Twitch was so incredibly massive. And this is a real problem looking towards players like Endless and Xuan P. Xuan P, of course, loves playing Twitch. There's a Cogmore coming out of Endless, and if they can't shut down this like one-threat artillery composition, that's a big problem. They were able to do it eventually, but if you have a 14-1-6 Kassadin in the mid-game, you should probably have an easier time doing it than that, right? Yeah, and it came down to execution of those team fights. Again, anytime that Republic was able to get deep flanks back there and just remove Twitch from the fight, it was completely night and day if they were going to win or lose that. But just so many times they would just continuously kind of ram into the brick wall by trying to have Kassadin go over the top as opposed to around. Yeah, and Wushang as well. He had a fantastic performance. I mean, if you were to predict an MVP, would you give it to him this time, or do you think that Republic has to take it? Well, Republic's score was pretty absurd, so I have a feeling it's going to go that direction, although I think that when Game Talents really go off and they find success, it really is on the back of Wushang, either working with his bottom lane or especially that mid lane. Yeah, and we'll see who's going to be able to get it, whether it is going to be Wushang, because he's going to have a very difficult task. I mean, we have to talk about the playoffs for this team and how these teams match up, because Vici versus Game Talents feels like a mismatch in quite a few roles. Easy Hoon versus Republic, that could be an exciting matchup, but anyway, speaking of MVP, let's have a look at who's going to pick that one up. Republic is going to grab it in the mid lane, 18-2-11. I mean, I understand, but I feel like Wushang does need an honorable mention. But at the same time, if you're 18-2-11, why is the game so hard to close out? He got snowballed so early on this Kassadin, and it was just kind of 3 blundered team fights where XQ came out of nowhere and picked up so much pocket gold, as well as the shutdown bonus on the Kassadin, that really led to that game being drawn out. Yeah, certainly did. And I mean, he was massive. We're going to have a look at some of his highlights now. I mean, that was a key moment. This play, just in general, was fantastic out of Republic, stacking the Rift Walk. Still held on to so much of his mana as Shu dies to the Force Pulse. He flashes out of the way of the stun, gets on top of Otto, chooses his targets incredibly well in this eventual 1 versus 4 that he came out on top of.
Just
and in
really
the end,
well played.
It was a Game Talents victory, so congratulations to Game Talents. They needed the momentum going in against Vici. Hopefully they can continue to stay strong. I think that their compositions need to adjust slightly because I feel like they're a bit behind the meta, especially in PentaQ. You know, not moving to more of the hyper carries like the Kog'Maw, like the Twitch, still staying on kind of that utility AD carry in the Jhin. But you shouldn't expect them to give away their hand going to playoff, especially against Saint. So hopefully they have more magic tricks to pull out of their hat.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We always praised them on their drafts, and maybe this time they were saying, well, let's just play what we want to play. Let's have a good time. Of course, Gimgoon got on his Gangplank, then had a Rumble game. He was having a good time there towards the top side of the map. Always loves his Gnar as well. So, I mean, it might have been the fact that GT didn't necessarily want to give away too much and just said, let's just pick comfort, have some fun on the map and see what happens. And they were able to take down games 2 and 3 in pretty considerably quick fashion.
The scary thing, though, is that you're going to have Gimgoon going up against Long, who has now shown himself to be able to neutralize very aggressive top laners, especially if he gets that hands on the Shen. And likewise, Wushang versus Dandy, one of the best junglers in the league. Wushang is very green, naive. He kind of has a single play style where you either go aggressive and it works out for you, you get burned by it. And I think Dandy's going to take full advantage of that. So I feel like pound for pound across the board, Game Talents really are at a stylistic disadvantage. Yeah, even the bottom side of the map as well. I mean, Endless has been stepping up, and Caveman and City actually have exactly the same champion pool if this like one series is anything to go off, because Caveman has looked by far and away the best on both Braum and Alistair, and those will be very contested picks if we don't see Savoki making his way back in. And I actually personally feel like what gave Game Talents somewhat of an edge in the Vici Game Talents matchup, just in general, is the fact that they play so well around Savoki and his style. And now they don't have that. It's sort of like we're Vici versus a different but not quite as good version of Vici. It's also this idea that Vici have a very clear-cut identity and strong points on the map. Against Game Talents are kind of the jack of all trades. They're decent at everything. They don't excel in one particular area, whereas Vici are a very patient, very cerebral team. It's their decision-making which is really strong. And Game Talents, as we saw, that series is kind of hit-and-miss, 50-50 on those calls. Yeah, exactly right. But I actually want to talk about, I guess, the broader picture here as far as the LPL is concerned, because we're drawing well and truly towards the close. This is going to be my final game of the regular season. I'm quite upset about it. But I just want to hear from you, Frosker. And I mean, what has been your biggest surprise of this split of the LPL? I think the fact that we have so many kind of strong teams in a very healthy middle of the pack. Typically, it's kind of, 1 and 2 and the rest kind of fall away. But I feel like we actually have a serious contender for Dark Horse. Vici looking stronger heading into playoffs. And I don't think it's as clear cut of who's going to be those 3 definitive seeds for China. I don't know why you say Vici when you say Dark Horse, because I'm pretty sure that definitely belongs to Invictus Gaming. Let's have a look at some of the highlights here of this game. As, of course, Game Talents were able to come out ahead, but it was a scrappy one. And this was definitely a Saint victory as, Republic went a bit too deep. Yeah, this entire series was really just a slugfest. You had 2 very quick games to start us out, and then just a straight-out brawl in game number 3. At least it was brawls in games 1, 2, and 3, but I feel like at least both teams were brawling in this one. Instead of it just being a shutout. It's kind of like knockout punch, maybe someone lost an ear. Yeah, exactly. We actually got to the end of a round for once, Frosker. But in the end, it did go to Game Talents, and Republic went ballistic. And it's cool, too, because it's not just Republic. And the storyline of XQ and Republic are very similar in terms of the trajectory. They came out, kind of mediocre, and it's just been this slow, steady rise. Unfortunately for XQ, Republic has been much more consistent on his upward swing, defining himself as a serviceable or a mid-tier mid laner in the LPL. But it's nice to see XQ kind of go out with a bang and have a decent performance on that Twitch. Yeah, most certainly did. And it's a decent story as well to the end of the regular season here of the LPL. But, ladies and gentlemen, there's still 2 more matches to go. When we get back, it's going to be Snake taking on EDG. Don't go anywhere.